Hi students, welcome back to our video series on object-oriented programming, and let's move towards the features of object-oriented programming, which is very important. Whether it is your university exam or any job interview, you will definitely get the question on this topic. Okay, so basically we all know that object-oriented programming deals with classes and objects, correct? So today I am going to explain you the features of object oriented programming, or you can say pillars of object oriented programming, or you can say principles of object oriented programming. Okay, so starting with abstraction. Abstraction is nothing but hiding complexity of data and showing the data which is essential. Okay, so we can take example of website. Okay, whenever you open any website, what you see different images, text fields, text, buttons, etc. Correct? And you don't need to know from where the images are coming, where your data is getting stored, how the page is changing, how the color is changing. Okay, we don't need to know all this information, only we want our work to be done. Okay, so what is happening here, the coding part, or you can say the implementation part, which is the complex one, is hidden, and it presents only the features to the outside world. Correct? So this is what abstraction is. Okay, you can take one more example, car. Okay, so in car, driver only needs to know the basic functionalities of accelerator and brake. Okay, so he don't need to know how the speed is increasing when he pressed accelerator and how the speed is decreasing when he pressed brake. Correct? So the internal functionality of accelerator and brake is hidden from the driver. So what we are doing, we are abstracting, or we are hiding the internal functionality or the implementation part or the background details from the driver and showing the basic functionalities. Correct? This is abstraction. We can take one more example, best example for you, header file. Simplest one. We know that header file contains functions, and we can use these functions directly in our program. Correct? For example, math.h. So in math.h there are different mathematical functions which can be used in our program without writing the implementation and without knowing the implementation detail. Correct? So we can use the feature without need to know how it is implemented, where it is implemented. Okay, this is called as abstraction. So the main advantage of abstraction is what? It reduces code complexity. Understood? Abstraction. Now moving to encapsulation. Encapsulation is binding or wrapping data into a single unit called as encapsulation. Okay, for example, class. What is class? Class is collection of data members and member functions. Correct? So we are binding or wrapping or encapsulating this data members and member functions into a single unit called class. Okay, so encapsulation can be used for the purpose of protection. Take simple example of salary of employee. So not anybody should know the salary of employee, correct? So unless and until you have the access to the class, you cannot view the salary of employee, correct? So we can use encapsulation for the purpose of protection also. Okay, then next is inheritance. Inheritance is, suppose, okay, we have some inherited properties or inherited characteristics from our parent, correct? And we are having our own characteristics too. Okay, so same concept is used here, parent and child. Child can acquire properties from the parent and can have its own property too. So the parent class is called as base class and the child class is called as derived class. Okay, so inheritance is deriving a new class from an existing class or acquiring the properties from the base class is called as inheritance. So there are many types of inheritance. We will have separate video on this. Okay. Now the advantages of inheritance is, first is reusability, okay, and second is extendability. Okay, how reusability? As we are reusing the properties of parent class or base class, correct? And extendability means what? We are reusing and we are adding our own properties in our base derived class, okay, without modifying the parent class. So these are the advantages of inheritance. Okay. Now next is polymorphism. Polymorphism is one thing with many forms, or you can say that the ability of object to take different forms. Okay, for example, person. So person can have different characteristics at the same time. A person can be son, can be father, can be husband, can be brother, or can be employee also, correct? So person is having different characteristics at the same time, polymorphism. Okay, we can take one more example, shape. So shape can be, we can have circle, we can have rectangle, then square, etc. So one thing with different forms is called as polymorphism. And there are two types of polymorphism. One is compile time polymorphism and second one is runtime polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism is also called as overloading and runtime polymorphism is also called as overriding. Okay, and we will have separate videos for overloading and overriding too. Okay, so this is about features of object oriented programming. Okay, we will revise it once. So abstraction is hiding the complexity of data. Okay, so we are hiding the implementation part and we are presenting the features to the outside world. This is called as abstraction. It reduces the code complexity. Then we have seen encapsulation. In encapsulation, what we are doing, we are binding or wrapping the data members and member function into a single unit. That is encapsulation. Okay, it is used for the purpose of protection. Then we have seen inheritance. In inheritance we have base class and derived class. So derived class is acquiring the properties from the base class. And advantages are reusability and extendability, as we are reusing the properties of base class and we are adding our own properties in the derived class. Okay. Then we have seen polymorphism, one thing with different forms, and the examples for it and types of polymorphism. We will have detailed video on types of polymorphism. Okay, thank you.